All right, guys, we're back with the Contractor Compass podcast. We've got the whole crew on this week. This is episode 19. And today we're going to be we're going to be focused on how and where to find the best and right employees for your home service business. And it's funny enough, I say that we have everybody on and Tom disappears. So he'll be here in a
Yeah.
second if you're watching the live stream. There he's back and alive. It's all
Yeah.
right. But anyway, so I was just telling the guys here before we jumped on that I thought this would be a relative topic because I know Jason has been going through some new hire stuff and chatting with new guys and having issues, and I don't want to say issues, but having conversations where he even missed a week because he had stuff going on. We've definitely been doing that as well. We're always hiring here, literally continuously in
Yeah.
interviews all the time. And then obviously Tom has worked through different companies and had to bring team members on and where to find them. Now, obviously, we're going to be focused on the home service industry, but I think this is kind of a across the board on, I'm going to speak about what I've done and challenges that I'm dealing with, and I'm sure Jason can as well. So, Jace, kind of enlighten us on this because you're going to be the most direct into, obviously the HVAC space,
Yeah.
which is what we focused on. But um, let's just start with where do you like to look for new people?
Yeah. So honestly, the best place is going to be referrals from your current staff, right? So if you can get that, have a good referral program set up, that's what's really going to be more advantageous for you. They're going to be a lot more sticky. They typically understand, the core values of the company and what we're looking for. So they typically can recommend somebody pretty decent. And it's a catch 22, if it's good buddies. And then, I always minimize how many referrals one person can bring, because then if one goes, if they all try to go, you don't want to uh,
Correct.
What
have all
about
your eggs in
family
one
members
basket.
of Buddy? What about family members?
Yeah, I don't do the family member thing. We actually have a strict policy on that.
I love
So
that. I love that answer. Yeah, I don't do that.
no, we've been there, done that, and it's been a nightmare. Multiple clients I worked with, it's never worked out. I've gone in where
Yeah.
um, a husband and wife were owners of a company, and that dynamic in itself was toxic. And
Yeah.
then, you know, they were
I'm
trying to
also
allow
totally
others, and it was
against that.
nuts.
Yeah, I'm with you
Yeah,
on that,
it
Jace.
doesn't make sense.
No. No, I'm
But
even against friends.
yeah. I mean, well, and that's the thing. You definitely got to monitor it a lot closer because,
Yeah.
we're running into a situation actually currently right now where we had a guy refer somebody in, a great individual, and this other kid has been with us for quite some time, and I'm over 8 months, and I had to have a hard conversation with him just recently, like, hey man, it doesn't seem like all the training, we put him in classes, pay for classes, he's dropping out of classes, not applying himself, the skill set's just not picking up, he's not catching on, and he's pretty much just been riding and shadowing with somebody for 8 months and not really
Yeah.
getting it. Super nice kid though, and we loved his personality, great with the customers, but his skill set's just not there. There's no really spot to put him anymore. So I said, hey man, we got to reduce you back to this level until we can get you to start climbing up. And here's a career path. Here's a pit plan. We put everything in place for him. And he referred somebody in, really good guy, and decided to, once he got reduced back from the highly paid hourly he was at, he decided to quit and go elsewhere.
Correct.
And so now, we haven't heard anything yet from the other individual, but
How old were
potentially
they?
could pull that. 31, 32.
Okay, so younger,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Not crazy, young, like in the early 20s.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely old enough, have families, kids, things
Correct.
like that. So it doesn't work out. It works out okay so far, but again, I wouldn't allow somebody to burn in an army, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
that's
that
when it
gets
can
tough.
really mess you up. So
Yep.
so we like the referrals first, and then also you got Indeed. Indeed is
Yep.
Indeed. You're gonna kind of go through that, and I think we talked about this a little bit. As far as the company that really just kind of sold. His biggest gripe was, man, I'd hire 60, I'd go through 60 and only be able to keep two.
Yep.
And he's like, it just, this day and age, it's a lot harder than it was even just 5 years ago,
Correct.
um, to keep these individuals and
Do you ever
keep,
do LinkedIn?
so we don't do LinkedIn. No, we haven't done LinkedIn. We've used a recruiting service that used LinkedIn
Yeah.
at one point, and the recruiting service was okay. You can negotiate those fees, but again, they're just you know, a lot of in our area, we're in a small state, so in the state, it's pretty much everybody knows anybody,
Yeah.
and I mean, literally in the state. So
Yeah.
if they're a plumber or they're an HVAC, we pretty much already know them, or they've interviewed, or
Correct.
somebody is somebody. So
Yeah.
but I'd say honestly, when you're looking, Indeed is definitely going to be a good spot. Recruiting services are a huge help. They can take a lot of that load off you and manage and market that. LinkedIn, things like LinkedIn, but referrals will probably be a good spot as well for you.
Yeah. So I've recently, because as you know, everybody that we brought on so far, yeah, literally everyone, used some sort of recruiting service.
Yeah.
And like I said, we'll get into different phases. Like I said, we topic this chat here, just how to find and or where, I think I said where or how to find the right employees, and they could be all different level. And I think what we're talking about today, well, what I'm speak to, I mean, we can talk about different levels of employee, right? Like you can find different types of employees in different places, right? If you got one that's turning a wrench, you're gonna find him somewhere different than somebody who's running a team.
Absolutely.
So that varies a little bit. But I'm just now kind of exploring different avenues because I'm looking for some bigger positions. But we're not big enough to where I'm hiring like a headhunter for like a Fortune 500, right?
Right.
That
Exactly.
take,
Yeah.
15% of annual salary,
Yeah.
right? So that's been a new experience for me. So I've actually kind of turned to LinkedIn. What obviously this is going to be industry specific too, guys. So like
Yeah.
if you're
100%.
listening, right, like LinkedIn for me makes way more sense to find an ops manager or like a more like a COO position or a CMO or whatever.
Yeah.
Versus, if you need a field manager or whatever.
Service technician.
Correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
We wouldn't, for us. I mean, you can find service techs on LinkedIn, but a lot of them just are not. The LinkedIn is more of a networking game, right? And that's
Yeah,
people in that mindset are more, the white collared or more in the leadership type roles, right?
correct.
I'm not saying that you're not going to find any of them on there, but to find your average plumber, or your HVAC technician or electrician, uh, LinkedIn probably would be a little bit tough to muster
Correct.
them up.
100%. Well, what if you're looking for like that? Like I said, once again, that's very different
Yeah,
versus if you're looking for like the person to, like someone to run the finance side or
yeah.
to, just be,
LinkedIn's your spot for sure at
yeah,
that point.
correct. So it's
Yeah,
interesting when you look at different dynamics like that and where you're going to find them.
yeah,
I think you got to go to where the people are, right? You got to understand who you're hiring too. You
exactly.
know what I mean? Like your service tech or whatever is not going to be putting a lot of time into LinkedIn.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
Yeah.
What
Like,
about going to like a distributor and seeing if like, hey, can I put up a sign in where I get my product at and looking for a tech
that
or
could be an option. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder, I was gonna say shit for like guys like that are out in the field. Let's say they're not even the sales role, they're just doing the work. You got a better chance of wandering on down to your local watering hole and finding a better guy there than you do
Yeah.
on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Absolutely. There. I know. I know a guy. He just had an old school. He had an ad out in the newspaper, and I was like, "That's how you're recruiting still?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "I just put help wanted in the newspaper."
No
He's like, and
shit.
yeah. He's like, I get more people calling me on that, and I'm like, wow. I was like, I like in my mind, I wouldn't even think of that, but so where I'm at, and like where I lived in the Midwest, and where I'm at now, in South Carolina, stuff like that really wouldn't work too well because people are a lot more engaged into the online atmosphere. And then,
Correct.
but up in the Northeast where my clients at, they're absolutely more into the Uncle Henry's
Yeah, yeah,
like little
yeah.
book or newspaper. And
100%.
again, it just comes back down to that marketing. And we started adding things to inserts and direct mailers, as far as
Correct.
saying, hey, hiring at this point, and then everybody's got their digital signs and things like that. But I'd say, yeah, definitely for place and location, that'd probably be a good
How
start for me.
how often has it been that that you guys have seen you bring someone in Like, how quick can you realize that they don't have like critical thinking skills is the easiest way to put it,
Oh
right?
gosh.
There's like
Yeah.
to-doers, right? You give them a list and they go do it. I was just talking about this with a really good friend of mine. He's got someone on his team who is definitely like, he said, he mentioned when he was talking about it, he's like, yeah, he's a soldier, right? Like he'll do anything, he'll walk through a wall, but you got to tell him to walk through the wall versus like somebody who can just, okay, these are the pieces.
Yeah.
This is what I need to do next. When I was growing up, it's funny, when I was growing up, my dad always said, if I don't know if I've ever mentioned this on this podcast, but I actually grew up farming. So I grew up working
Oh
outside
yeah.
all day. And it was like, so a little bit different than what I do now. But it's like when your boss or your dad in this case tells you to do something and you do it, and then he would just kind of sit there and look at me and be like, okay, what's next? Right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what is the next thing that you have to do? Right? And some people, I don't think they ever get past that.
Mm-hmm.
So how soon are you able to see that? Do you still have a role for them? Where do you have to adjust? Do you have to put it? Because
Yeah.
especially at a small company, that's one thing that's been really big for me is I've got a, my team, they're here for a reason. They're great. Right. But I definitely have people that are really good at doing what they're told and people that if they're not told, they'd sit there and twiddle their thumbs. Right.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
then, it's hard.
It's tough. So that's a really good question, and that's one of the biggest challenges I think a lot of companies face is when do we cut them loose, or do
Correct.
we have the resources to um, meet this person where they're at?
Yep.
And I literally just dealt with this on Monday, and
Yep.
I hired in a guy, incredible person, interviewed great. I even kept him in my Rolodex. We don't have Rolodex, but it's just a saying. So kept him in the Rolodex for when the
Tom's
position
got a Rolodex.
reopened. Tom's got one, and I brought him back up, and I didn't even post a job. I reached out directly to him and I said, "Hey man, I know I didn't get you on the first round," I said, "but I'm really interested in getting you in on the second round." And he came through, sat in, super nice guy, very personable, connect with them, great on the phone with customers. And then and he was filling a dispatch and CSR role. And then all of a sudden I'm watching his skill set and it didn't even dawn on me. Now it's all in our listing, but it didn't dawn on me to drill somebody on this aspect because it just comes it's just second nature for me, which is understanding how to work off two computer screens and then understanding that there's multiple tabs to
Yeah.
a computer.
Yeah.
and the day-to-day function, like it was like watching paint dry and this guy just trying to figure out how to go from one tab and oh crap, I can open up another tab. Yeah, buddy. And then you got a screen and you can do 10 more of those on the other one. Like it was so foreign to him, and being able to log into something, how long it took for him to log into. And there's aptitude tests and you can do all these things with people, but we just are not built and set up. Like I can teach you the technical on getting up and going in your role, but you got to
Correct.
have the basic fundamentals down.
Yeah.
And
It's
that learning curve was just way too big for us. So we had to cut them loose. And I just said, "Hey, bud, you do awesome here. Here's my
correct.
recommendation. Go to a community college and take a 5-week course on basic computer, literacy."
Yeah.
I said, and then come back. I said, but I said, honestly, man, if you're gonna try to be in this space, you got to have the basics down.
Yeah. And that's something that you like. Sometimes, like you said, go take a course. Sometimes little things like that was a skill that can be trained, right? That was a
Yeah,
skill that he was lacking.
exactly.
Sometimes
Yep.
people just lack that factor of,
Mm-hmm.
you told me to do this. I know that this comes after this. This is what I should be doing next.
All
You know
right.
what I
Yeah.
mean?
Just a drive.
Yeah. And I
Just
don't
a
know how
basic
we'd explain that.
understanding of being
Yes.
proactive.
Yeah. If we would say drive, if we would say like I always, whenever I hire people for a role that it has to be, I need it. I need them to be able to do those things, right? I let
Yep.
them know, like, I'm gonna throw you in the fire right away. I'm not gonna hold your hand, and I'm gonna see how you do. Because because when you get somebody on your team, anyone who is like that, they're gonna blow you out of the fucking water,
Oh
and you're gonna be
yeah.
like, I need more of you,
Exactly.
right? Like
Yeah.
when you and so it's funny because like you said, that guy, he lacked the skill. He'd go learn it, come back, right?
Exactly.
But so there's sometimes there's a little thing where it's like, okay, I told you to do this. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
Okay, well, now I got to tell you what to do next. It's like, just
Yeah.
know what to do next.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do that a lot on. So I do the same way. I do a lot of virtual training with my team, and I'll say, okay, hey guys, go ahead and complete X, Y, and Z, and then we got a few other things we got to get done. Here's kind of the future steps on that. I'm gonna mute everything down, and I got to step away, and I don't. I sit here and I watch, and I
Yeah.
want to see how that person handles. Are they going to be able to take the initiative to
Uh-huh.
take the next step and figure out, okay, hey, he already gave us the outline and the layout of what needs to be done. So I'm not just going to do task A that he gave to me. I'm going to actually finish all the tasks and get them completed. And because I told him, hey, we got to get this all done by 12 o'clock. You know, it's something we got to get done. And then all of a sudden I'll say, hey, I'll watch. And you'll see those guys. They'll finish the first task, and then boom, they grab their phone and they sit on their phone.
Yeah.
And then you got these other that will sit in the training, and they'll bang everything out, and they'll get it all done. And then
Correct.
when you come back, it's a good conversation piece to have in like a round table. As far as kind of, it reminds me a lot of the whole. There's a parable, right? The old parable, and it's about the talents, and it's actually biblical, right? And it talks about the talents. And I give you X amount of talents, and this is what you do with it. And one person buried them, and one person did this with them, and the other person went and multiplied. And that's exactly what you got to do. Are you going to be proactive and take the initiative and have that drive? Or are you just going to sit on it and bury it and wait for somebody to give you the next order to do something? So I like that saying that you mentioned, being a soldier, because that's exactly what it is. Military, right? It's that militaristic mindset.
Yep. 100%. Yeah. And it's tough to, like, one thing to kind of hone in on there. And I don't want to I mean, once again, this is the topic kind of got us started down this way, but it's hard in a small business too, because you only have so much bandwidth. So if you're the owner and you have a bunch of soldiers, right, you spend all your time telling them what to do and you can't actually get anything done, right, because they don't know what to do next. So it becomes more of a burden on you. Whereas, like, you need to be very, it's kind of a fine line, because, like, you need to be very choosy with who you bring in right away, so they can actually help you instead of just being, maybe creating more work for you.
That's it.
But it's also hard to find those people when you are so small.
Yeah.
Right? Because, why would that type of person knows what they have most of the time, and they're looking at the best opportunity they can get. So you either have to really cut them in, like, hey, I'm willing to give all of this because I see your skill set. Yes, we're small. This is how, like, I believe in this vision. This is my company, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just kind of an interesting concept. That's something that we definitely go through, and we're still going through. But I don't know. Kind of an interesting thing to think about.
Idea. I have an idea.
Idea.
Don't forget to raise your hand, Tom.
He did too.
I'm kidding.
Hey.
Yeah, what's up?
Bottom line is that I've hired some people recently from an employment agency where it's temp to perm. Now they're going to charge you about a 40% VIG. If you're paying a guy $10 an hour, they're going to charge you a 40% VIG on top of that. Now, obviously, you're going to pay more than $10. But what the beauty about that is the way I've got it set up. They send me a couple resumes. I pick a person that comes in. They work 3 days. And I go, you know what? I don't like this guy.
Yep.
And so they have these in Tampa that have, there's crane operators, there's dozer drivers, there's, dump truck, all these different things. But for the trades is that maybe there's something to that of being able to say, and you have to hire them and pay their VIG for so many hours. But once you do that for so many hours, then you own them. But maybe it's a way for in HVAC, and I've never done it in HVAC or home contracting work, but maybe that's a possibility as well.
Yeah.
We do that. So those temp agents, they have those temp agents. Are you talking about temp agencies?
Yeah, temp to perm. To perm.
Yep. Yeah. So we've worked with them. Unfortunately, and this is going to be a case by case basis, is the pedigree you typically get through them is on a lower caliber, only because they're more of your habitual, like they're people that have a tough time sticking at a place. So we went through, I want to say we had about 10, I'd say, on average, through multiple roles within about a 2-year span. And unfortunately, not any of them worked out. But I do know some states, and depending on the city you're in, they can work out really good. Where I do know in the finance world, it works out very well. That's a whole different caliber, because I knew of an agency that did that. So I guess again, it comes down to kind of like the role you're trying to fill. If you're probably looking at CEO, CFO, situations like that, management, leadership, there's actual agencies that people like myself, I would pay and say, hey, I need you to find me a good job.
Correct.
Right. I require 250,000 a year. I want it to be remote. I want this. And this is my layout, right? And then I want to make sure I have all the things lined up. So that's definitely going to be the case with using
Correct.
temp to hire.
Yeah. I think that I mean, like I said, it's almost kind of hard to really nail down on where we're looking. You almost have to like pick a role, right? Because there's so many different ways or different places to find certain people. So I think that's important to mention here. So like as this conversation, everybody's been chatting, right? There's a lot of, you got to know who you're hiring, right? What role? What do they need to do? Where would you find them based off that knowledge that you have, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, let's take away like massive roles. That's a totally different, like there's only a select handful of companies that are even going to listen to this that are going to be in a place to hire someone like that.
Yeah.
Right. So when you're looking for your people that are more on the ground, right, just knowing where, and I think that old saying, hire fast, fire faster is true.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, you can spend it's been true in my case, and I still have to get better at that because like you want the person to be the right person.
Right.
And in my case, I don't even do initial interviews anymore because I'll give people too much grace, and I shouldn't.
Yeah.
So someone else on the team does those interviews, and if they like them enough, they're a lot harder than me. And if they like them enough, then I come in and talk to them. But I think you can spend so much time on a team member that is not the right fit, someone's time, effort, and money. And then when in reality, you should have cut them 6 months ago and you'd have been through 2 more people and you would have find the winner that takes the weight right off your shoulders.
Yeah. And that's a big part too. So definitely be efficient in that and then being able to identify, but then don't give up. Don't get frustrated. I know just that look on owner's face when they're going through one person after the other and they're like, what is wrong with us? Like, are we broken? And they start to try to fix this. Oh, maybe it's because we don't have this. Our culture is broken. It's not. You just got to find the right person. You got to know what your values are and what you're looking for. And just stick with it. It's almost like dating, right?
Yeah,
you got to know what you're looking for. Stick with it. Don't settle. Because when you settle, you're going to get more problems down the road. So I like that whole hire fast, fire faster. If it's not a good fit, just get them out.
Correct. Yeah. Know who your people are, right? Like know when the people come in that are those decision makers that can critically think, move them up as fast as possible, put them in roles where you can leverage their skill set the most you can. You're going to have some soldiers on your team, right? And that's fine. But as long as you have people under you that you've moved up the ranks because you know that they can think and they're telling those people what to do, your life's going to be a hell of a lot easier.
Yeah.
So, and then there's levels in business, right? And I'm definitely going through that. I know you guys have all been through that. And, you when you first start out, it's just you. And you next start out, you're the one managing the people. And the next level is you managing the managers, right? And then there's a level even beyond that, right? Where you're managing the people who manage the other people.
That's it.
So there's definitely stages. But I know you guys have a cut at 4 here. But I think that gives kind of a good overview of how you can find people. How don't settle for people. Like if you do a good service, God damn it, hire good people.
Yeah, and the thing is, just know you're not alone. I mean, everybody's dealing with it right now. So it's not you, it's not your company, it's not. I mean, it might be sometimes you and your company. So look in the mirror, but at the end of the day, just know. I'd say a good 80% of America right now is dealing with the same problem. And we talk with companies, and you do too. I mean, all over the nation, and everybody has the same damn problem right now.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Even for basic roles. And I think the good one, we'll end on this. Like Jason said, don't give up on that part of it. Guys, business is fucking hard.
Yeah.
I'm the newest one in this group at it, right? And it's not easy. Everything is hard. Like I talked to a business owner who was talking about hiring people and doing marketing. And he's like, man, if I can't get this to work, I'm done trying. Like I'm just going to stick to the old fashioned way. My team. I'm like, dude, he's throwing his $10 million company dream down the hole because he can't figure out how to hire people.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't be that guy. So, Tom, do you have anything to end on?
Biggest thing too that I've made the mistake is I've tried to hire cheap, and you get what you pay for.
Yeah. Good point, man. Yeah. You gotta know your market and pay what these people deserve, because cheap is definitely, that old saying is around and has stuck this long for that reason.
Correct. Yeah, they will go somewhere else. All right. Awesome, guys. Well, we'll see you in the next one. This was a shorter one. We'll see you. Hey, I don't know if you guys know this, but the next one, episode 20, I told Tom this last week. That makes us top 5% of podcasts everywhere. Did you know that, Jason?
Nice. I did not.
When we get to 20 consecutive episodes, we are top 5. Look at us go. All right.
We're not playing around.